The gas station was nestled on the edge of a dense forest, miles away from the nearest town. On winter nights, the place felt isolated, wrapped in a thick blanket of cold and darkness. My name is Sarah, and I've worked the night shift here for nearly a year. Most nights were uneventful, but recently, something strange had been happening behind the station. It started with a noise. A soft rustling, like footsteps crunching on the snow. At first, I thought it was a stray animal, but the sound was too deliberate, too heavy. One night, as I took out the trash, I saw a shadow dart behind the dumpsters. My heart raced. I called out, but there was no response. The shadow was gone, leaving only the cold night air and an unsettling snow. They were unlike anything I'd seen before, too large for an animal, too misshapen for a human. They led from the edge of the forest to the back of the gas station and then disappeared. A regular customer, an old man named Henry, noticed my unease. When I told him about the tracks, he grew pale. "You shouldn't be here alone at night," he warned. "There are things in these woods that shouldn't be disturbed." A few days later, a coworker who covered the night shift didn't show up for work. He lived nearby, so I decided to check on him. His house was empty, his car still in the driveway. No one had seen him since his last shift. The noises behind the station continued. They grew louder and more frequent, as if something was getting closer. Each time I stepped outside, I felt like I was being watched, the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end. One night, I gathered the courage to investigate further. Armed with a flashlight, I ventured into the forest. The trees loomed overhead, their bare branches like skeletal arms reaching for the sky. The deeper I went, the more oppressive the atmosphere became. I stumbled upon a clearing. In the center stood a circle of stones, ancient and covered in strange symbols. The air was heavy with a sense of foreboding, and I felt an overwhelming urge to leave. As I turned to head back, I heard a low growl. Out of the shadows stepped a creature unlike anything I'd ever seen. It was tall and gaunt, with glowing eyes that pierced the darkness. I froze, unable to move as it advanced toward me. Summoning all my courage, I turned and ran. The creature chased me, its heavy footsteps echoing through the trees. I didn't look back until I reached the safety of the gas station, slamming the door behind me. I spent the rest of the night locked inside, my heart pounding. The creature didn't follow, but I could feel its presence just beyond the edge of the forest. When morning came, the tracks in the snow confirmed it wasn't a nightmare. I reported the incident to the local sheriff. He listened carefully but seemed skeptical. "Probably just a bear," he said, though his eyes betrayed a flicker of doubt. He promised to send a patrol, but I knew they wouldn't find anything. Henry returned a few days later. He told me about the town's dark past, of disappearances and strange occurrences that had plagued the area for decades. "There's something out there," he said. "Something that doesn't belong." Despite the fear, I continued working the night shift. The gas station felt like a fragile island of light in a sea of darkness. Each night, I kept my eyes on the forest, waiting for the creature to return. One evening, I found a crude symbol scratched into the wall behind the station. It was the same symbol I'd seen on the stones in the forest. My blood ran cold as I realized the creature had been here. The creature returned, more aggressive this time. It circled the station, its glowing eyes watching me through the windows. I armed myself with a wrench, determined to fight if it broke in. As the creature tried to force its way inside, I swung the wrench with all my might. It let out a horrible screech and retreated into the night. I knew it wasn't defeated, but for now, I was safe. I couldn't stay any longer. The gas station was no longer just a job, it had become a place of terror. I handed in my resignation and decided to leave town, hoping to escape the nightmare. Before I left, I warned the new worker. Be careful at night, I said. There's something behind the station, something that doesn't belong. And whatever you do, don't go into the forest.